everyone? It's GT time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us, as always, is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
I have a cold.
Daniel Bloodworth.
I don't have a cold.
In the super seat this week, Michael Huber.
You will soon.
I didn't know we were starting.
What does that mean?
We're starting.
Yeah, this is it, dude. And in the booth, making this all happen, is Ian Hink.
I better not get a cold.
We're having some discussions on Tarantino. It just got me riled up.
Thrown off.
He's in a bad state of
riled
mind. Huber, I'm sorry to do this to you in the state of mind, but we have a very serious question for you.
Okay.
Here's what happened. The aliens have invaded.
Okay.
They're here. It's happening.
Huber hasn't answered this?
Huber has not answered
For some
this.
reason, I think you have. Okay.
One alien has gone rogue. It's holding a lightsaber and a Tron disc. It says, "Hey, buddy, I'm here to help. Take one of these." Which do you take?
The lightsaber.
Why?
It's my favorite fictional weapon ever.
Okay.
Because it is like Obi-Wan says, he sums it up. It's like an elegant weapon. It is. But it can also be brutal. You know, like Vader Empire Strikes Back when he's like coming down that hallway, just slamming down on Luke. So it can fit both elegance and brutality. So I like it. And the Tron disc, like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't have the accuracy for that. You know, throwing that thing around like lightsaber, I could just get in there and rush.
So a lot of people say that a normal human couldn't use a lightsaber, that you have to have some attunement with the Force to be able to even use it. Do you believe that?
No. Because
Do they have to use the Force to hold the light
Han uses
down?
it. Han uses it in Empire.
Wait, how
When?
long?
Like 3 seconds. He cuts
open the Tauntaun.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sick.
Yep. The only
thought he used
non-Jedi
a
in all of the
knife.
films to wield a lightsaber.
Brandon Jones.
There it
And
is.
use it to save a life.
Yep.
Yes. Well
He was
done.
like fumbling with it, but it's cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool, actually. Okay. So there would be some like moment of like, oh, how do I use this? But eventually I believe Huber could get to that elegance and brutality.
And mainly it comes down to melee versus ranged.
Yeah.
I'm a melee guy. All day.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the question seriously. We should transition to corrections. Please begin corrections music. Davis personally corrected us last week. He came out of his office and said, "Hey man, I'm only halfway through the episode, but you need to know something. Those skins are canonically interesting in Overwatch Origins." So they actually do make sense in the story. They're not like goofy like bonus skins that make no sense context-wise. Context-wise, they're like sick. They're about like the origins of where these heroes came from. One of the guys used to be a good guy, turned into a bad guy, so he did like his good guy skin.
Huh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The
It's
skins
so-
in
yeah.
League of Legends like ruin that game for me.
Right, and so I
They're
think
just
they
like,
don't
oh,
want
it's
that.
a snow nurse.
Yeah,
Soldier 76 is cool because it's before he gets all augmented. So he's just like a normal guy.
yeah, that's
cool.
That is cool to me.
It's great too for lore because it's like they came out with Hearthstone, which was backed by Warcraft, the Heroes of the Storm, which has all of their classic characters that people love, and then like who are these people? I don't know them, and so it's nice to like have more things that kind of like, okay, we'll just dump this lore on you, and if you're interested, if you're not, it's just a fun shooter. You don't have to really know why you're wearing this outfit, but if you dig.
Well, I think that is interesting to me because, like the new Tomb Raider, like one of the things I appreciated is that they have a lot of costumes, but all the costumes feel like they make sense, And
That's
like,
the case of all Tomb Raiders, though.
I don't know, like her being in the tank top a lot was kind of weird.
Oh boy, here we
But
go with
it was
this
just-
again.
It was just like, yeah, you'd be freezing. Like, I would pick up the first jacket I could find.
Hub has been rebranded as Discovery Family as of 2014. Here's my correction of the week. This comes from Leon T. We actually already, for a tiebreaker, did female main characters a little over a year ago
Oh
in
shoot!
the episode called Keep Dreaming, Please.
Wow.
And then Leon T went on to give advice in case Ian just comes up with that one again. Think of RPGs and fighting games. He'll think of a lot of female main characters. Appreciate the advice because you never know when Ian will suggest that category again.
Probably in a year.
End correction music.
Oh God.
That was fun. But here's, my favorite way to start this show.
I don't actually. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
What is
Really?
it?
What it could
What
be.
is your favorite way?
My favorite way to start the show is a game announcement.
I hate those.
Oh, I thought it was a death.
God, what?
This week.
What's wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? All right.
That's not even plugged into your computer, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
But it's wireless. It works
Oh, there
wirelessly.
you go.
Wireless.
A game that was
Wireless.
announced this week. Actually, I mean last week, but late last week. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. what this is an HD remaster of Twilight Princess, which is, if you don't know, the game that was on GameCube and Wii, launched with the Wii, and then GameCube a month later. It eventually got there. That was announced this week. Of course, leaked a little bit ahead of time, but I want to know what the panel thinks about this.
10 out of 10.
Probably not 10 out of 10, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I think that I think it's interesting that the GameCube version essentially won out as the real version, because there's like a lot of that fighting back and forth because of the way it was mirrored for the Wii.
Left-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so explain that a little better to anyone who's never heard of this before.
Yeah, so Link is traditionally left-handed, and then because of the Wii remote, they flipped the world so that the sword would be in the right hand, as most people would be swinging the Wii remote.
That was
with the
their
right
fix.
hand.
Not just
Yeah.
flip the character model, but flip the entire game.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
So Lake Hylia's on the other side of the map. The desert is flipped to the other side. It's so weird. And
Yeah.
that was their solution.
So it's
Did
gonna be
they-
crazy for me going back through this, because I played it on the Wii, and I think
Yeah,
I played it
on
twice.
the Wii too. I didn't finish it though, which is like the main reason I'm excited about this. Like, let's do it. Yeah, you made that face.
And
to
I'm
me saying that,
actually
like,
happy
8 times.
that it's more or less a straight port. I'm the weirdo that prefers people not to mess around with stuff. I think people, after Ocarina of Time on 3DS and how much they did to pretty that up, like, I think they expected that from any Zelda remake.
Oh, and Wind Waker HD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did quite a bit to Wind Waker HD as well. But I'm fine with it being the way it is. I'm the, like, I prefer like a virtual console or something like that. It's just like, just put it on my TV so that it looks fine on my TV, and I'm good to go.
Well, to that note, Bloodworth, it was announced that they will be making changes.
Yeah.
They weren't clear on most of them, but what was announced is a Wolf Link amiibo that comes with little Midna riding atop. That will have some integration with the game, and as well as the 5 already existing Zelda amiibo. Does that worry you?
Maybe, but it could be just like one of those minigame things, like the Agatha, the Bug Princess. If like it's something small like that.
Just like
that's
skins.
Or
added
skins.
Probably like a
sound.
different outfit.
Yeah.
Outfits are super easy to just throw in there.
Can we make a side bet?
Yeah, what's your side bet? I'll always take a side bet. I'm already in before we...
Fishing will be changed in the beginning of the game when you got to catch that fish.
Oh.
They'll make it easier.
Well,
That'd
they'll
be
make it so
interesting.
you don't have to catch it.
Or it'll
once.
just be some cutscene or something.
Actually, I won't take that bet because I do believe they'll streamline that intro of the game.
Yeah.
I bet they absolutely will.
Yeah. Because it's not that it's hard; it's just not communicated.
So
very
I've had to
well.
call Brad Ellis over to my house on 2 occasions to get me through something in
In your entire life.
my entire life.
Okay.
One of them, Ocarina of Time Water Temple. Second one, catching that damn fish in Twilight Princess. Sat there for an hour, couldn't do it.
So you sat there for an hour. You called Brad and said, "I can't catch
I was
this
like,
fish."
yo, just come catch this fish.
Oh wait, you
man.
couldn't catch the fish at all?
Couldn't do it.
Oh wow.
And how close does Brad live?
5 minutes walking.
Okay, so he walks over
Yeah.
and says, "Hi, Huber.
Yeah.
Just give me the
It's like,
controller."
just give me that. Does it, like, just leaves. Does it in like minutes.
So he didn't come and hang out and play Zelda with you?
No, he's like, yeah, he's because he had to go play it himself.
It is his favorite Zelda.
Yeah.
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 No, the more typical thing is that I went through was you catch the fish, you think that's it, and then it's like nothing happens. And like okay, so then you wander all over town trying to figure out what else to do, and you just have to catch another fish.
It's just so interesting to hear their regrets about the opening even. So it's just funny. Like, it's intentionally padded out, which is awful. I do want to know, Huber, though, before we keep talking about Twilight Princess, have you ever gone over to Brad's house to help him through something?
I think so. I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Probably. I think on like Resident Evil something.
He couldn't beat something
back
Resident
in the
Evil,
day,
and
yeah.
you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way relationship of
course.
calling them up and come help me with
course.
this part.
100%.
You know what's funny is that's what they pitched when the PlayStation 4 was announced.
Yeah, I thought of that.
Oh yeah.
They're just like, hey, your friend could do this digitally, could hop into your game and play
Yeah.
for you. And I thought it was the dumbest feature in the world.
Yeah.
Apparently, some people could actually really use that.
Yeah,
That's
it took
kinda
him a while
cool.
to actually put it out, but I think you can do it now.
Oh yeah,
never
no.
gotten it.
Some kid had a guy play Destiny for him, and then he like sold all of his stuff.
Oh yeah. God, that was brutal.
Oh, I
dismantled,
remember
like, all of
that.
his
Yeah,
weapons.
yeah.
Oh,
Like, in
wow.
front of his eyes, just like the
That-
horror.
The kid had to come in, to be honest. Because in
remember
real
that.
life, if
Well, you
Brad,
need that kid. You need that story for
Yeah.
like everyone else to open
No
their
one
eyes.
has that coming, man. He trusted some guy and
right,
got burned.
Because in the real world, if Brad came over and dismantled all your stuff, that would hurt that real life relationship. Online, it just totally doesn't matter.
Well, that's why you don't do it with a stranger.
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't do it with a stranger. Huber, this is your favorite Zelda too, right?
All-time favorite.
Why?
Number 1.
Why?
The tone, multiple reasons. The tone, it's definitely the most dark Zelda. It's super intense. And the supporting cast. I love Midna. She's like my favorite sidekick maybe in all of games. She's incredible. And no spoilers, that final showdown.
It's probably
always
still the
remember it.
best final showdown.
And the dungeons, there's so many good dungeons that are all like relatively different from each other, like Snow Peak, Temple of Time. Like I remember the Fire Temple with the gravity boots.
The Sky Temple.
Oh, there's so much cool stuff in that game.
Yeah.
It's super good.
There are a lot of cool secrets in the overworld map too that you can find.
There's like some sub mini dungeons.
Yeah. I remember there was one
Not enough,
up in
but
a
a couple,
cave,
I
like
think.
up on a cliff that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's so subtle and you wouldn't even like when you first get it, like you're like, what is the second hook shot? You're like, why would I get a
yeah.
second?
Oh, I felt
hook
so
shot?
shafted.
I
Yeah.
already have one.
Uh-huh.
And then you see the level design that comes out of that. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a unique Zelda game.
It reminds me of Ocarina, like Ocarina 2. Is that a fair statement?
No, it's very much in the same vein.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. There are some smaller things, like some of the character designs. Like everyone, picks on Malo, of course, the little shopkeeper, baby-looking dude, and then yeah, I'm not entirely a fan of the Twilight Realm or whatever, the Dark World taking over.
Love the Twilight Realm.
The music though, I can't. Oh man.
It's good, yeah.
I mean, it is what intended, but I don't like hearing that music every time I got to fight one of those things.
Creep you out?
It creeps me out.
Yeah.
I'll be frank. It creeps me out. Brandon, is this a big announcement? Is this a big deal for Nintendo, or are we just clouded Zelda fans?
I think it's smart. I don't know if it's necessarily a big deal because I don't know if a port is ever really a big deal.
Oh, come on. Nathan Drake Collection, that was a big deal. And this is freaking Zelda.
I don't know that it is.
The games
a big
themselves
deal,
are a big deal, but the fact that they're doing it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not like they're doing what? It's just like, yeah, cool. Good job. Like I think that's as high as I'll ever give a port, unless it's something like a Grim Fandango where you're like, wow, whoa, I actually didn't see that coming. Like,
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and if you
you
watch-
should guys to play this game. It's fun.
You watch the documentary where they talk about what they had to do to get all those assets back. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, it wasn't even just the weird things they had to do, but there was like they had to do something different for all sorts of different types of things.
Grim
And they-
Fandango's funny though because they only changed, or like, because you could push the button and switch, and the only thing that changes is the character models, like their shadows get,
Yeah.
their
Oh,
lighting
but the
gets
pre-rendered
better.
backgrounds are all the
backgrounds
same.
are all the same.
Yeah.
Also, you need with Grim Fandango, I've been playing through it with my friend. You need someone who's played that game before,
Or a guide.
It is
It's
impossible.
all,
gotta
it's
have that
all
guy.
those games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like-
I remember those old
that was
games,
just how
but
you
it's just
played
like,
it.
holy
Yeah.
crap.
I do think it's worth mentioning though, Brandon, that HD, something HD. This is the only second time Nintendo has done this. Wind Waker HD being the first. So I mean, it is kind of a big deal for them to do remakes. But you're right. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't feel like a huge announcement.
It's not going to sell Wii U's, that's for sure.
I think it. You're right. I
No,
No,
probably
it's
won't.
not.
Yeah.
But I do think
It will sell Amiibo.
Yeah, I do think
Yeah.
it's odd that they haven't done like Mario Galaxy. They just kind of put on the eShop, right? Like they didn't really make that HD. They just let you play it on the
Yeah.
Wii U.
Yeah. Metroid is what I got in that situation.
I
Yeah.
could almost see the entire boardroom just kind of like, oh yeah, maybe we can do this. And then one person said the word amiibo, and they were like,
Do you think
I
it's
wonder if
because,
that was the tipping point. They were just like,
Yeah.
oh, now we have to do it.
Do you
What
think
else?
it's-
What other games can we HD?
do you think it's because there hasn't been a Zelda Wii U yet? So these are kind of just like placeholders, whereas
That's
got
what I was
Mario
gonna
3D
say.
World?
Partly, it's
Absolutely.
also they're starting already to beat the drum for the 30th anniversary, so it's
Yeah.
all sort of tied in there.
It feels like the Nathan Drake collection to me, where it's just like a stopgap,
Mhm.
where it's like, oh, everybody's waiting for the new one.
Mhm.
Here's a
Gears
re-release
of War
of the
Ultimate
old
Edition.
ones.
Like,
Yeah.
just remember this thing.
It's weird. It works. I want to run through the other Nintendo news pretty quickly. Star Fox has a release date, which is April 22nd. The last time it was delayed to Q1 2016. So this almost feels like another delay for it to come out in
Yeah,
April.
that is technically Q2.
Yeah. So I mean, we got to see more of it. Huber, you're shaking your head. Are you
No,
not into it?
I was nodding.
Are you feeling it?
I will definitely enjoy playing that game.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that's
But
our
am I
impression
like
here.
clamoring to get my hands on it? No.
Yeah.
But I think when it's closer, I will be.
I can't define what is missing from this game.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, can you? What is missing from Star Fox? Why is this not like, oh, dude, Star Fox is coming?
Because it feels way more like, yay, Star Fox is now back, as opposed to like, wow, look at Star Fox now. Like, look where this franchise has evolved into in this new gen.
I
It's
think-
totally changed. It hasn't changed. Like, it's like a little easier to target stuff. Like, that is the major innovation of
And it
this
even-
extremely innovative franchise at the time.
It even still looks like N64.
Yeah, I think
Kinda,
it
yeah.
is very much a superficial impression. It's that, like, the art style that they've gone for
Yeah.
is not impressive to people. So it's
So it's just like, oh, more levels of Star Fox 64.
yeah.
For me personally, I just don't have a connection to any of the characters. Like when Link comes on the screen, or Mario, or Samus, I'm just like, yeah. Fox comes
Oddly
on
enough,
the screen, I'm kind of just like,
Slippy is
Fox,
the one that
cool.
has the most connection.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, Fox McCloud is kind of like a D-bag.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't get you, dude. Why are you so
Yeah.
confident all the time?
But what's funny though is like especially if you look at that one, that the video they showed. I mean, there is actually a lot different. There's like the whole transforming mechanic, the third set of vehicle.
Don't get me started on that transforming mechanic.
It's weird, but it's
we had that we had it on the Super Nintendo and Miyamoto killed it.
Right.
Oh, don't get me started. Let's talk about Cloud and Smash Bros. Real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Okay, because you're
Well,
over it
that's
already.
a bigger announcement than
Why?
Princess
So
HD.
why is a downloadable character a bigger announcement than a game? Explain that to everybody.
Because there's not many games that are out right now that will have that big of an announcement adding on to the game this far after launch. It's been a long time since
A year.
this game came out.
It came out a year ago.
And that's probably the most exciting character that's been added to it. Probably the most unlikely, like you brought up, like Metal Gear and Sonic, just those like, wow. And the thing that's so great about Smash Brothers, why like as someone who really loves trailers, why just Smash Brothers is such a gift, is like they're not just kind of like, oh, hey, here's this, see it at E3. It's like, here's more gameplay than your brain can possibly fathom. Like I mean, like somebody pointed out that they like did an homage to Aeris's death with like Peach like holding the phone. It's like
It was Zelda, yeah.
or it was Zelda, yeah. Like just hilarious. I mean, just like. Like those never get leaked. Didn't what am I talking about? Like some of those got leaked.
Oh, the roster
Before.
got
The
leaked
roster
big
got
time,
leaked,
and so
yeah,
did
yeah.
Ryu. This is actually the only Smash character that didn't get leaked, basically.
No, never
Yeah.
mind. Then I completely retract that. But yeah, I just love the energy that comes with like all of their announcements. Because I like that's the thing. Like I think that's way bigger of a announcement than Twilight Princess HD. I own Smash Brothers. I don't play a lot of it now. I probably won't download that character, and this won't get me back into the game where I will play Twilight Princess HD. But just the the excitement of that announcement, like
My favorite thing about the Smash characters, especially like Snake or Sonic and this one, is like it always feels like we've attained some kind of level of harmony in the gaming world, Like when Sonic was in there, it's like, oh, old rivals embracing across the gulf, Sega and Nintendo, like, because in my entire youth, that they were enemies,
Yeah.
And now they're like best friends, and now this with Square and everything, I don't know.
It does
Yeah.
feel harmonious. I get you. Yeah.
It's very cool to me.
it makes me think of two kind of outlandish possibilities that kind of branch off of this. Number one is the possibility a lot of people have been murmuring about is is this in any way an indication that the Final Fantasy VII remake might also be coming to NX? And I think there's no real reason to think that there is, except that why Cloud? Like I think somebody said the only Nintendo platform Cloud's ever been on is like the GBA with a Kingdom Hearts game or something like that. And then the other thing that it makes me wonder about, because again this is such a far off thing, and because they're talking about announcing more Smash Brothers stuff in December, I kind of wonder like if the strategy for Smash Brothers going forward is that like this thing's just going to keep going, and like rather than being an NX Smash Brothers, you can just buy it on NX, and they're just going to keep adding on to this same base game, because there's not that much more that you can do with new hardware power or anything like that. It's just add more to the game we already have.
Yeah. To answer why Cloud, though, like Cloud, whether you like it or not, is the most iconic Final Fantasy character.
yeah.
There's none.
He's just popular and cool.
Yeah, and so for people, I don't know, but I'm not buying the theory that like, hey, this confirms that 7 is coming. 7 remake is
I
coming
wouldn't
to
say
NX.
it confirms it in any way. But
But we all know that NX is going to be the most powerful console, so obviously 7 remake will be on it eventually. But I'm just saying, like, that's not the correlation to draw there. And finally, Linkle, the female version of Link, will appear in Hyrule Warriors Legends, I think is the name of the title. Yes, Hyrule Warriors Legends. That's a 3DS Hyrule Warriors. So previously, let me give you some background on Linkle. Linkle was simply a failed concept art in the book for Hyrule Warriors. Saying, like, this is something we were considering. Here's this character named Linkle. She's got 2 crossbows. Little sister type is what that was basically described. And that never came to be. And so there was kind of a thing at the time when that book came out, just like, oh, look how cool this would have been if, like, female Link was in this game. Then, when this game, the 3DS version, Hyrule Warriors Legends, was announced for 3DS at E3, at the end of the splash page of all the heroes, there was a crossbow just by itself. It was Linkle's crossbow from the concept art. So the people who had bought that book and was like, hey, why isn't Linkle in this game? They're like, oh man, Linkle is gonna be in this game. And so for a lot of people who are like paying attention to weird stuff like that, like me, we kind of like knew this announcement was coming, but it was still a big deal nonetheless that it's like finally here, because everyone for some reason really wants a female version of Link. Here she is. It's Linkle.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is weird to me though that it's what you're saying is supposedly a sister rather than like just some alternate version or some other person in the timeline.
I don't think she's a sister by blood. She's a little sister type.
Okay.
Do you think this announcement... Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. I was going to probably say something offensive.
I'm going to go ahead.
Get me out of this.
Do you think this announcement lessens, like, if the Wii U you play as a female Link? Do you think this kind of cheapens that?
Possibly.
Because like that was going to be such a big deal if Zelda Wii U turns out to be a female Link.
Right.
But now like Linkle is kind of
No.
stealing the show.
To me, it hints at it that you'll be able to choose one or the other.
I think this is dipping the toes in the water.
Yeah.
See the response.
Enuma previously like stated like he'll consider giving you a female version of Link if Hyrule Warriors sells well.
Whoa.
I think that was a stupid thing to say, but like
Jeez.
he
is
stated
weird.
that. Yeah.
He's holding her hostage.
God.
In a weird way, I think they are paying attention to the reception of Linkle, and so yeah, I think it might, in some way, you're right, come to correlate with what happens with Wii U Zelda eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to do a silent protagonist and you're not going to have a love story, then there's no real reason to not just give people the choice. So.
Hey,
Yeah,
and
so
I mean,
it's
even if there is a love story,
Yeah. I just don't like her name, but I like her.
That is a weird name.
a lot of people do not like the name.
I don't
What-
like the name.
What don't you like about Linkle?
It's like
just
Waluigi,
Link.
It's just like, think up a new word.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like living in Link's
Come
shadow.
on.
It's
Yeah.
like be your own person.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like she needs to be
Yeah.
she'll always be a female version of Link and not her
Yeah.
own person.
That's a
Exactly.
great point.
I
It'd
mean-
be cool. Go ahead.
Really getting into it, she doesn't need to wear green or be blonde or whatever. It's like
Wear
just
black.
a new character. Yeah, black's a little extreme, but like, I mean, like you have the red tunic and the blue tunic.
Yeah.
Like those are iconic enough to have in Triforce Heroes to kind of represent the 3 main characters. So like, be cool if she was kind of like the yin to his yang as opposed to like Yinkle, to his yin. Like,
I mean, like, really, the thing I never really understood about the Zelda series is like, Link, he's just a green entity that you control. He doesn't really have any.
This is what makes Skyward Sword so good.
Yeah.
This is what
But
makes
I mean,
Skyward
like-
Sword so good.
You could just make your own character, like with prefab pieces, so it still looks the same. But I don't know.
I don't think he's a prefab. I think he's more than that. If you're like customizing your Link at the beginning, like Fallout, I think Zelda does lose something. The Legend of Zelda does lose something. But I mean, I might be okay with
That's
a female.
nostalgia
Here's-
talking.
You know what's sick about this is Hawkeye. There's a male version of Hawkeye and a female version of Hawkeye. They're both named Hawkeye. They both exist in the same world, and they both know each other and hang out, and they're both called Hawkeye. She could have been called Link. I do feel like she could have been called Link, and it wouldn't have been a big deal.
yeah.
Good point.
Man, there's all kinds of, like Marvel right now. There's like female versions of everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah, 4.
Super cool. Like
And I bet they're selling.
Spider-Gwen,
And I bet those comics are selling too.
Weapon
But
23
that's
is
actually
Wolverine
but that's actually a
now.
pretty viable option. It's like literally just make the eyes like a little cuter and like the like hair a little bit longer and like the frame a little bit slimmer and it's like now it's a female.
And now it's
version.
me.
Uh-oh.
Now it's like
Now
now it's
you
like
got
you're
blood
the same
work.
character. Or
That goes
go in a
back
completely
to
different
the,
direction.
That
One or
goes
the
back
other.
to the Miss Pac-Man just gets a bow and now she's a girl
Oh,
argument.
let's go the other way. Let's buff her up.
Yeah.
Buff her
Buff
up.
her up,
Yeah.
make her more intense. She's
Link
protecting
Hulk.
Link.
Yeah.
Link is protecting Link.
Yeah.
Uh,
it is.
So we had some fun, but it's time to get serious. It's time to get heated.
I never asked for this.
Not yet,
Okay,
Huber.
okay.
Then we'll get real heated.
Oh,
but
okay.
for now, we're talking about Star Wars Battlefront. Because this is a contentious game.
Controversial.
What is controversial about Star Wars Battlefront is not its performance. This game performs very well, I'd say. It's one of the prettiest games I think I've ever played. What is controversial about Star Wars Battlefront is one of my least favorite video game words of all time. Content. The most contentious thing is that this game does not have enough content. And that there's a season pass for $50 that will give you more content. That's been described this week, what's in the season pass. So before we discuss it, let me just list off everything that comes with the season pass. There's 4 epic expansion packs. Epic, their word, not mine. 20 new pieces of galactic tech, which is just a dumb way to just to put all of their weapons, vehicles, and star cards under one thing. So 20. So what? 5 per expansion pack. 4 more heroes and villains. 16 maps and new locations. 4 exciting new game modes. 2 weeks early access to those things, and the exclusive shoot first emote.
Can you read the maps and locations one more time?
Yeah, because it is not clear. All right, so 16 new maps in 16 maps in new locations.
New locations. Okay.
So,
But
So
I don't-
that would
probably
be 2 planets.
Coruscant.
probably 4.
So that
Probably 4.
can I just
Probably
open this
4,
up right
and
now?
then 4 it maps within those locations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
So my biggest problem.
Call what
We're
they are,
ready.
actually.
We're officially ready.
My biggest problem is that what anyone says, there are only 4 maps in this game. I don't care what anyone
You don't care what I say?
say.
Because I would argue against
I
that.
don't care what you say.
Okay.
So you get
My
like
God, he's ditched
you
the
get like
chair.
Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, right? It comes
Yeah.
with like 11 radically different maps. Radically. Like Alpine snow mountains, inner city, ghetto city, jungle.
Hold on, are those 2 things really that different?
Yeah, like downtown Shanghai skyscrapers
Okay.
or like favela crazy slum area. Yes.
It sounds like 2 parts of the same
No,
place to me.
No. Star Wars Battlefront.
Uh-huh. Hold on, you only listed 4, so I'm going to make you list more than 4 because Star Wars has 4.
I haven't played in so long. There's
What
there's
else is there,
so
though?
There's like a train depot.
Oh, and in a city?
There's like a factory. No.
In a city? Like a factory like that would take place in a city?
No. My point is that Star Wars has Tatooine, Endor, Hoth, and
can't do it,
random.
King.
Those are
Sell us.
entire planets, and you're talking parts of a city.
No, so that's the point. Is that this whole thing is a Jedi mind trick? It's
Okay.
the same aesthetic.
Yeah,
no
it's
matter where
sand,
you are,
forest, or
it's
ice.
the same exact thing. You're just in a slightly different area.
Right. I will.
And,
I
the
will,
color
yeah.
scheme, like Endor, green and brown. Hoth, white. Tatooine, brown. Like there's nothing to differentiate each of the locations.
I will bring up the crucial counterpoint to that argument.
Okay.
That
Sorry.
building in Shanghai had absolutely no relevance to you until you popped that game in. That was just some building in Shanghai. The map itself is fun. But what you have in Battlefront is the fact that like you're not just on random snow planet,
Yeah.
you're on Hoth.
Yeah.
This is the rebel base that I'm in, you know, so it's like you do have that.
There
like,
is
like
that, of
more
course.
focus to like let's not just kind of yep, there's Hoth done. It's like
Yeah.
no, let's go to caves. Let's have a training area that's actually in its own version of Hoth. Like if you do just if you go into training and there's one where like you have to take down the AT-AT, like look at the map. Like there's no echo base, there's nothing. There's just like one gunner thing, and like it's a whole different, you know, setup of what Hoth could look like. So
But once that nostalgia wears off, and it wears off pretty quickly, you're left with some pretty shallow maps. That's
So we can't afford this, Ian. Please don't.
they just muted the show.
We just got muted.
but to counter my bitter rant,
Yeah.
Endor is phenomenal,
And
it
yeah.
is ruthless, and it is a gutsy way to make a map with all of the shrubbery, all of the bushes. I mean, people can just hide in a bush. Like that is extreme, and I respect that map so much.
Yeah, it's weird. I think the maps take longer to make, but when you compare it to other games, you get more maps. Even if even if we consider what we get in Battlefront as each of those are maps, you normally still get more maps than that even.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the problems too is it really comes down to them charging for all of this stuff, you know, because like we've been seeing more and more people with multiplayer games, you know, like Killzone did it, now Halo's doing it, and it's like you buy the game and
Splatoon.
and yeah, Splatoon. Like you just keep getting these maps, and so now Battlefront's kind of the weird one. There's like, oh, you want us to pay for the maps? We didn't have enough maps to start with, and now
Doesn't
you
Call
have
of
to pay for
Duty
more.
still make you pay for the maps?
Call of Duty still got to pay for the
Halo
maps.
Halo came out with 4 new maps today, and love it or hate it, if a competitive multiplayer shooter is your game, like maps are so important. You're just going through those maps like one after another, daily, weekly. Like they grow tiresome. Like we need more maps like right at launch. That's my biggest thing, and I feel like Star Wars have already seen everything, and I've played like 3 nights.
So in defense, as moderator, I feel like I must. Let's talk about that free map that we're getting in December of that planet called.
Jakku.
Well done, Brandon. So Jakku's coming. Does that help?
Cool.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah. I was just
Yeah,
said,
heck yeah, that helps.
But is it only
Was it pre-order?
free for pre-orders or something like that?
It's 2 weeks early if you pre-order.
Okay.
Free no matter what.
Free no matter
Oh,
what?
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it just a desert though?
What is Jakku?
Jakku is like Tatooine, but I think the big thing about the map is that
got that Star Destroyer
you're
on it.
you're actually in the war that led to the destruction that you see in the movie. So I think it's like what they tease in the trailers that there's actually a Star Destroyer that's because you can see like ships in the distance in some of the maps, but you can never get to them. Like when you like spawn a fighter squadron, like you come from the area where the Star Destroyers are if you're like a TIE fighter. But with that, the guy looks up and sees a Star Destroyer coming down to crash, and like that would be cool. Be cool if they had like Levolution stuff.
Levolution, yeah.
You know,
Would be
where, like
cool.
you,
If that
Yeah,
happens
that'd be
in the
crazy.
play area
Oh
too,
my
where you
God.
could get crushed by a Star Destroyer, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well, but it's kind of like what you, it's like Destiny to me. It's kind of like we were just talking about with Smash Brothers, where it's like I don't need a Battlefront 2 anytime soon as long as they just keep adding more stuff. Like I think easily with the way this game is set up, they could just do space. You know, it's like that. I don't know if that's clearly one of the expansions that we're going to get, but if you had a Levolution thing where there's like a whole other ship that you could just blow up and you get to see that thing blow up from the inside, like that.
Yeah. Well, what would be cool too is if you could actually like infiltrate and take a Star Destroyer. You know.
Like in
Oh, sure.
2142.
You know what
It
feels
just-
so good is
yeah.
destroying the Star Destroyers in Rogue Squadron when you're just like an X-Wing and you just shoot straight at where the commanders are sitting. Oh, but you have to go like under and defeat the bulbs first.
They
to
should
shoot
have
us.
an
Oh,
attack
those
on the
bulbs.
Death Star. I mean,
That's
that
so
seems
fun.
like a given.
The what?
attacking the Death Star.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's lots of we could talk. We could have a whole show that's just like they should do Geonosis. Like yeah.
But I mean,
Obviously, prequel stuff is coming probably.
clearly it takes time though. I guess like this. The problem with it looking so great is that it just takes forever to make these maps.
One of the other things too that people are forgetting because everybody keeps bringing up Battlefront 2. They're like, look how. I mean, even I did. I was guilty of it in the review because of the heroes. That's like my major thing. That like, 6 heroes. Like, come on, you should have like one more hero at least per side. But the maps in Battlefront 1 and 2 were kind of like whatever. You
Yeah,
know, they were
just
not.
really-
They were not unique. Like you didn't see details like in the ice caves where you go out into an area and there's an X-wing that's tied down with an orange tarp that's cut on one side so it's flapping in the wind. Like none of that. It was just bases, buildings. Tatooine was just like building,
Yeah.
fake door, can't go in, It was really the modes and just, how crazy, we'd never had a multiplayer focused Star Wars games before. So I think, people are forgetting, I just think a lot of people are taking for granted how damn good this game looks and sounds. Like,
And
and
the
how
maps
huge
are
that is.
gigantic.
For Star Wars, for Star Wars. I mean, I can just leave it at that.
So I mean, here's a weird thing though: is talking about we started talking about this about comparing it to other games that give you free DLC. I don't know how Splatoon does it; they're just losing money on Splatoon. But with Halo, they say we're making money from rec packs. Most games make money from microtransactions. They would be so easy to implement into this game, and they chose not to. That's weird to me. I don't know why they chose not to do microtransactions. I'm personally happy about it, but I see a lot of people who are mad about how much this game costs.
Yeah, I would
and I understand them.
Sorry to interrupt, but I would much rather take Halo's business model because you never have to buy those rec packs. You earn them at a pretty steady pace, and maps are way more important than buying silly rec packs. Like whatever. I would much rather have the free maps. Charge the people that want to buy the rec packs. I'll take those maps. Thank you very much.
Brandon, what would you take?
It depends on the game. Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of the.
I'm talking about this game right here. Would you take microtransactions in Battlefront as opposed to it being a $110 game?
I don't, there's nothing I would want to buy. I would never buy that. And even when I played Halo, it was like I didn't get a sense of like, oh man, I'm gonna be tempted
Yeah.
to get these. It was just like,
So you'd rather have
okay,
the maps.
that's a fun added thing, but it's not
Because then,
especially because you really need to, like, you can't just buy Rec Pack and win. Like, you can't just like equip a rocket launcher and then you win. If you don't hit someone with that rocket launcher, you suck. You know,
Yeah.
you need to be good at that game. It's gonna
You
give you
can-
the tools, but if you can't use the tools,
You can definitely have an advantage in that mode.
you can have you can
Pay
have
for an advantage.
a statistical
But to be
advantage,
able to
but you can
use
still
those
completely
cards
blow
too,
it.
you have to level up within the match. You have to use your crappy guns to get.
Yeah.
But
They also have a free app that you can download for Battlefront. You can earn credits through
Oh,
the
I've,
app.
I've played that game though, and it is.
It's not a great game. But
Oh, you played it too? The weird
Yeah,
little
yeah.
like the thing
The
where you just
circle
put
thing where it's,
cards
like,
on the.
tactics. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's tough because it's like, to me, it's one of these games that reminds me so much of Destiny last year, where it's like I can look at on paper at what I'm getting, and just like if I'd never touched the game, I'd be like, that's a travesty. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then I play the game and it's fun. Like, it's like I went to a review event, I played the game all day for 2 straight days, and then I came home and I got the game and I started playing it on Friday. I played it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. My friends are all busy right now, but they said like, in sometime in the next couple weeks I'll be available, in which I'm in Battlefront. Can't wait for it. Like, I'm just not tired of that stuff. And it's very, I mean, not to be like super fanboy weird about it, like this is not justify it, but like it is based on the old trilogy, and there's nowhere else to go like that other than space. Like, those are the locations of the major battles, you know, with the exception of Sullust, to just kind of like throw it in there because I think that more pertains to like expanded universe, maybe new
The,
episode 7 stuff.
oh man,
Kashyyyk, we
it's
could go
been so
to.
long.
Cloud
Cloud
but
City.
we don't go there in episode 4. We go in the prequels.
Cloud City.
Yeah, best been Cloud City.
Yeah, Cloud City.
Ooh,
yeah,
Cloud
Cloud City.
City, dude.
Cloud City over Sullust would be cool.
Oh, I'd love to go to Cloud City.
Also, was Coruscant wasn't in the original trilogy until they added it
Until
with
special
the CG,
edition, yeah.
right? Yeah.
they added
Coruscant
it
seems cool. Yeah, at the end
see
you see
everybody
people
partying,
celebrating.
But again, like,
Statue
was
of
there
the
a better
Emperor
battle on
dropping the
Coruscant?
Emperor.
Really? Yeah.
in. Sorry, Blood.
There wasn't really a battle on Coruscant either.
Right.
Yeah.
Coruscant always seems so cool though.
Dude, storming the Jedi Temple, taking out younglings.
You didn't see
Yeah,
the Old
kill the
Republic
young
trailer?
ones.
Love
That was a battle.
trailer.
That'd be
Was that
fun.
13?
Take down the Jedi
13?
Temple.
Is that
That'd
what
be
it was called?
great.
We've
That'd be a
definitely
fun map.
we've lost our discussion. People want us to be mad about this game. Do you know what I mean?
I'm bitter.
Sometimes I feel like
yeah.
I'm not delivering what I should be. I think people want us to be mad about this game. They want us to tell EA they're doing something wrong and that they're not giving us enough content.
If you go out there and read the reviews for Star Wars Battlefront, you will find one of 2 reviews. You will find someone that says, I played this game, I got bored with it, there should be more. Or you'll read a review that said, there should be more, but damn, I can't stop playing this game. It's a lot of fun.
I am on both sides.
And no
of
one's
that.
right, no one's right, no one's wrong.
I'm
But
100%
everyone's
on
saying
both.
there should be more. Everyone is
Yeah.
saying
You
there
said
should
the
be more.
nostalgia
Yeah.
ends for me. And forget about it. I mean, even but just going back into the menu and then playing like Leia's theme, you know, like while I'm like picking gun options, it's just like, oh, I love that. You know, I love this celebration of the game. And it's like, next to Batman, what licensed game looks this good on anything? Television, comic books, novels, film, anything.
You could take off license.
What get? But you can't.
It's like one of the
You
best
can't.
looking
You
games.
can't just say, like it's you can't with this game just be like, well, if you took Star Wars away, what do you have? It's like you can't. That's the whole point. You know,
Sure.
it's like that's the whole thing. Like when that you know AT-AT like slammed down and the logo came up, people weren't stoked because it's like, oh, another game from DICE. It was like, oh my god, like we're finally getting a reinvestment in the war of Star Wars. And like if all there is you know, it's like part of why people want more is because it's really good, you know, and it's not, the people wouldn't be like, we can get more of this if it just was, you know, they played it one day and we're like, screw it, you know. I just think, yeah, I just like it's why I gave it 8.1 instead of an 8 because it was just that 0.1 is just my fanboyism. Like I can't, it's I hit an 8 at the review event. Right away I was like, this is an 8, you know, and I was just like, I can't. I love it too much. It makes me too happy.
That's interesting. It's really interesting that though, like even the people who love it say there needs to be more, and that's what keeps it at 8.
Right.
That's where it puts it where it is.
It's sort of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of a thing because people freak out when there are microtransactions, you know, especially if it's not handled properly. And then people freak out if you pay for what you get.
And
Like,
if you're like
Can't win.
If you give everybody
literally
free
can't-
stuff, if
yeah.
you're Splatoon, if you're just super nice to everybody and give them tons of free stuff,
You fail.
nobody notices.
Well,
yeah,
the
they fail.
Nintendo
No.
doesn't matter, so
Yeah.
it doesn't.
But the thing is, again, I mean, it is what it's about what's in the base game. Like people wouldn't mind paying for new maps if there were a ton of maps in the base game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
True.
think too, even if it was terrible, like Battlefield 3 and even 4, if there was a campaign, there would not be as much hate.
Hubert, I'm
That would
sorry I
be
did not bring that up
huge.
until this
Some
point.
kind
absolutely.
of structure. Yeah.
Some
'Cause Battlefront 1 and 2
kind.
had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the tutorial missions, but the other single player modes are pretty sucky.
Even if it was
Yeah.
6 hours of mediocre, it would still be
or even
a
just
huge
literally
thing.
the modes that are in the game, but tie them to something,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and give me some cool unlock at the end of it. You know,
Like the
Like-
tutorial stuff is great. You feel like you're
Yeah.
in those scenarios, and it's
Yeah.
over. They're over in
Well,
2
the
minutes.
speeder bike is there. You know, there's no
Yeah,
indoor
that
map
one.
that big.
Yeah.
You know, if
That
you want it, if
chase.
you're like, oh, speeder bikes look fun, like do that training mode because you just fly around. You know, you just zip around on it.
Notes for the sequel. All right. I got some bad news. Here's what Huber is really
I never
steamed
asked for
about.
this.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided has been delayed until August 23rd, 2016.
But isn't this a
Whoa.
game that like deserves polish? You know, like
Yeah.
isn't this the kind of game where it's like, yeah, just find all those things. You don't want this to be Fallout 4. You know, you want
Delayed
this game to
from
be
Of
when?
course, it's good. It's a good thing.
February was when it was supposed to come out.
It was
So
supposed
it's a
to come out
big
in February.
delay.
Yeah. It's a 6-month delay.
That's always a thing. That's the like. I have no problem with delays. If you have the guts to delay a game, good on you. Like when that thing comes out, it's gonna be freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's when you give the false hope of February,
Yeah.
August. Sorry. I was waiting for February, and then here we are in November. We're so close. I'm
Yeah.
looking right over that curve to next year of Deus Ex, and then it's like a year later now.
August feels like next year.
Yeah.
August
That's
feels like a
so
year from now.
far
It is
February
really
is
weird.
like this year plus.
Um,
But August is like,
Brutal
whoa.
wait.
I want to share a fun fact. This is actually the furthest out release date we have for any video game.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
An actual pin down date.
An
yeah.
actual pin down release date. There's none for June. There's none for July. This is the first real pin down release date.
Wait, I
so
thought
far out.
I thought No Man's Sky was in June or July.
They just said 2016. No, you're right. They did give us a month.
Yeah, it was
They
a
gave us a
month, I
month
thought.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
thought
But
it
a
was
month is
June.
not a pin down.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
sure.
We got
Is
a
this
pin.
pinned down?
We got a pin. It's August 23rd. It's actually also another interesting factoid. Same exact release date as Human Revolution.
Ah.
August 23rd.
I did not know that. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Why do you think companies keep doing this? Why, do they benefit by saying February because of pre-sales and they get more money, or like?
Oh no, I think you just nailed it.
Well, remember this whole augment your pre-order.
Right.
garbage.
We don't
let's
need to
forget
talk
it
about
because
that
it's
again.
gone.
Yeah,
so.
it's
But
gone.
yeah, it's because it's kind of irritating to be like if No Man's Sky actually comes out in June, I would rather have it be like that, where it's just like waiting for years for a release date, but then you hear it and it comes out on that date.
Yeah.
Like I want companies to stop lying to us.
Yeah.
Well,
Just everyone do
Or
what
stop
Blizzard
guessing.
does.
Stop
yeah, I
guessing.
think it's guessing. It's,
Just
it's
do
not
it when
lying.
you know you can do it.
Just
like
be
Fallout.
Blizzard.
Fallout and
it's like,
Blizzard.
yeah,
No,
but it's-
Blizzard is the worst. They delay everything
No,
for years.
It's like- it's
they
like-
say when it's coming. They never delay their games. They never give a date until it's 100%.
I feel like that's not true.
And I think maybe the part of the reason why, unless that's like 100% true, is like it's like if you contracted somebody to build your house, right? It's like imagine you did that, Blood, and then like I came to you like 8 months later, and I'm like, hey, Blood, your house done? And you're like, no, and I'm just like, wow, what'd you do wrong? And you're like, I didn't do anything. It's the people building the house. You know, I can adjust to what they're doing and tell them to change things, but like if they just come to me and they're like, your house isn't done, I'm like, okay,
Right.
we gotta delay it, you know, or rush it and just have a Fallout 4 and be like, well, the game's not gonna. It's just going to crash on everyone.
I love that that's a thing
just
now.
that's just Bethesda.
Fallout
Every single
4.
game in Bethesda's
Yeah.
history has been like that. At least
We've
the
had,
3D
we
ones.
had plenty of rush games this
But
year.
I-
Tony
I-
Hawk was clearly rushed. Like,
Yeah,
Mario
but
Tennis.
I think another thing too that may or may not play into this is, I mean, we all did just go and play that game for the first time. It's the first time anyone outside of their team, had hands-on time with that, and we all gave them a lot of feedback, and they're probably looking at that and saying like, okay, what can we do with that? It's also, from what I did play, it's really complex. And if they really want like every one of their battle spaces to be as complex as the one that we played, then there's a lot of bug testing to do.
Blood, can you give us an example of the kind of feedback you gave?
Well, I think one of the things is it's kind of like Dishonored's Blink. Like it feels like it has a lot more versatility.
You just port forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it needs some work. Like it's not very clear how far you're gonna jump ahead. It's not very clear. Like it's kind of hard to like actually pick your target of like where you want to move to. So like that needs to be tightened up. And then there's another thing, and I've debated with you about this, but I do feel like there's a sense that they could add a whole another mode onto this, to where like once you've played through an area in the story that you can revisit it and you can have like a challenge mode where you do get to go back into those maps and
yeah.
explore more and find more of the nooks and crannies. Because I played that thing like 10 times, and then there was still stuff in the footage that they sent that I hadn't seen. I'm like, how did I not find that?
Because you can't have those upgrades. We should talk to Brandon Huber and see where you stand on this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about a challenge mode where you get all of the upgrades?
No, not all the, but
Okay.
you have different loadouts. Like
have
you
diff-
have like
yeah,
a
okay.
stealthy loadout or a combat loadout, because that's kind of the way that was set up for us,
Yeah.
so that we could try out all the different ways.
What do you think about adding that to a Deus Ex
And
game?
you have to get through a certain portion in a certain amount of time. You're like time attack mode.
No. Like
Not
basically,
necessarily.
you have an opportunity to use powers that you weren't on
that you
that
didn't
tree
get
to
in your
unlock.
upgrade tree, yeah.
So then, like
Oh.
maybe this time you can move that dumpster out of the way, or you can.
I wouldn't use that personally,
Mm-hmm.
but that would be cool for a lot of other players that wouldn't want to replay the game. I love replaying Deus Ex and making different choices and using different powers, and that would take away like going back and redoing it all for myself, just being able to like, oh, I'll use this, I'll use this, I'll use this. But for a lot of players, I could see that'd be awesome for them.
I think that's why I'm against it. I feel like your choices matter
Yeah.
because you can't have that challenge
Exactly.
mode. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it would remove something from
Yeah.
the
But
importance
You'd
of
like
the game.
unlock
picking-
it by beating the game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
even still,
that'd be the way to do it. Yeah.
even still, I feel like
Yeah, picking things in that game, whether it's a
But it's at least a
simple
30-hour
quest
game.
or a power, is
Yeah.
such a big decision every single time.
that's
love
that's
that.
why that commitment is so hard. That's why it's just like, oh, should I put another point
Yeah.
into hacking?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's like, oh, health is really gonna get me through this game, but it's so boring.
Yeah.
It's like,
You're right, I could have
I
that
think that
switch
every
to-
time. It's like if I just max out health immediately, I'll just kill everyone. I'll be good.
I hate putting points into batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batteries, because you always get that one extra.
Yeah.
But they're changing that, right?
What are they changing?
Yeah, it's a different
batteries?
system. I don't
Yeah.
remember it off the top of my head.
It's
But,
way
better now.
But yeah, it's essentially, so there's like it's like 2 layers. So whenever you use an ability, it'll take a chunk off. But then a lot of abilities have like a recharge. So like you'll pull your battery down, but then if you just stop using it, it'll recharge back up to where that chunk was.
Okay, nice.
But then some of the bigger ones, like the Titan, which is the big armored thing that they spend so much time on, that just drains the whole thing out flat. It won't recharge. So
Cool.
you have to be very careful about how much you use those things. And one of those is kind of the Batman vision. So like you can't just look at everything in augmented mode all the time. You have to
Sneaks
like
and peeks.
Yeah, you have to just kind of like get a little peek. Okay, turn it off.
Nice.
So
Good.
Absolutely.
Detective mode, man. Ruining games. Ruining stealth games.
Big August release. I think it'll do fine. Human Revolution did fine in August. So yeah, I think August is not a bad month for
Absolutely.
launching.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a week after my birthday. That'll be a nice little.
It's interesting though because
late
there
present.
are some games where it's just like no, don't rush this. Like this
Yeah.
is we should cherish this. Like it's not like
Absolutely.
another Assassin's Creed. It's like
Yeah.
no. It's gonna be
100%.
a long time before we get another Deus Ex game. So do it right.
Gentlemen,
That made me feel really good, Brandon. Jones.
All right.
Thank you very
you
much.
did it. Good recap.
Yeah.
Great recap.
Don't rush this.
Gentlemen, it's time for, well, you're the one who started this conversation. I got a quick one and maybe a little longer one, but this one is really interesting to me, and I actually want to know the answer. So this comes from Johnson Hill. So quick question. When sitting down and considering what games to review, I guess you have a staff meeting, do you guys tend towards games that you personally want to play and review, or games that you feel the public want to see? The reason I'm asking is that some games are popular and big budget, and I personally find great, by the way. Those seem to slip through and are never talked about. Some recent examples are Sword Coast Legends and Elite Dangerous.
this is totally
Elite Dangerous is one. Yeah, I've been at so many events and walked right past him and been like, I wish I had 30 minutes to just sit down and jump into that because it's like we don't have Star Citizen yet. We don't have, there's so many games that are like aspiring to that. And they're like, this game's amazing. You want to play it? And I'm just like, I got.
There was some crazy
so
story
many
about
games.
people smuggling like actual players in that game. It was insane.
It reminds me of
Eve,
Eve, where it's just there's so many options.
But
and so much
this is
ability.
totally a me question because
Right, this is your job.
This is not
Yeah.
This is not necessarily. It doesn't happen as a committee staff meeting or anything. It's just, I go through the calendar before a month starts, and before Q4 I kind of did like a broader version. But yeah, I kind of go through like what games are coming out and who would be best for them, and then I throw it out to everybody for feedback, and we tweak it here and there. But it's largely just about my own sensibilities and figuring out who's going to be the best person to work on
But
those
sometimes
games.
too, Ben will come and be like, "Yo, I think we should review this game." And
Yeah.
that
There are
happens
definitely
once in a
times where people will bring up other things that weren't on the original schedule that are outside of my line of sight. But some things like Sword Coast Legends, I wanted us to be able to do something with that. We didn't have a person to be able to do it.
And so one last question real quick is when you said it's about like assigning which game to whom, how do you decide that? What makes one person better to review one game?
They're just, generally, more in tune with that franchise or whatever. I mean, some things will flip around a little bit. Like because of Brandon's schedule, I had to pick up a couple of his like Mad Max that he really wanted to do early on.
It was a bummer.
Yeah.
Really wanted to do that.
And then the same thing happened with Tomb Raider, I think, too, right? I wasn't going to do that originally.
Right?
Yeah, something like that.
So I find that interesting. You want to review the games that you want to like. Nobody wants to come into a review and just be like, oh, I want to review that one because I want to give it a low score.
I feel like I'm usually the one who gets the random leftover games where like
Like
no
Mario
one really
Tennis
has,
Ultra Smash.
no one in the office is really into it.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of just like
Take-
whatever.
take
we'll
your licks,
see.
bruh.
Well,
Yeah.
you do.
We'll see about it.
You and Matt are the only
Which is fine.
sports players.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Matt Blair will get NHL once a year. Yeah, absolutely.
Triforce Heroes was not on my radar at all.
yeah, that's what we had to
And that
flip
just-
for.
yeah,
That,
that
was
just-
I was going to do Mad Max.
Yeah, and I was like,
or,
oh, well.
yeah, I was going to do that.
Isn't that
and you were gonna do
interesting?
Mad
I'll be
Max.
traveling. I'll take it with me.
Do you think, I don't know if we can have this conversation. Do you think Brandon would have given Assassin's Creed a higher score and Blood would have given Triforce Heroes a higher score?
I know I would have given Mad Max a higher score.
I know I
sure.
would have given Assassin's Creed a higher score.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy to think about?
I would have been suckered in, but you would have
Yeah.
been a different review. If it would have been, if you would have read my Mad Max review, there would have been something in there by being like, it would still probably been in the 7 range because there's some character models in that game that are just rancid. But like, I think that game speaks so much to what I know of Mad Max that like a lot of the faults where I was like, well, this is repetitive, and it's like, well, he's touring the wasteland, like so.
Ben and I both
But I
were
would've
like,
communicated that.
we would have given Star Wars Battlefront like 7.5.
Sure. Yeah. And I wouldn't have like debated that. I would have been like, sure. And if somebody came to me and were like, do you think it's that? I'd been like, no, I probably would have scored it higher. But
Bloodborne,
it's
10.
that game, that review. The score of
Bloodborne
that,
was
yeah.
a 10.
So yeah, actually, so if you're watching Game Trailers reviews, I highly recommend seeing who wrote it. That I think it is a big part
It's
of like that review.
essential.
Yeah, it is.
It's essential because it's
essential.
not a communal voice. It's that person.
You sound angry right now, Ian. What's
Bloodborne
going
was
on?
a 10.
I would have given Bloodborne a 10 for the
At
record.
least a 9.899. Like that game is better than The Witcher.
To
Oh
me,
my gosh.
this is a whole nother conversation. But
It
remember,
is,
a
but
10 is
that's
not a
the thing. It's
perfect game
taste.
to me.
Yeah.
So no
Huber
game
is
is
obsessed
perfect.
with 10s.
No, but also like.
Well, here's the thing.
I get
9.8
Only,
is a
only
game trailer
games that
10.
truly deserve them, like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2,
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night, like those
Dark
Dark
classics.
Souls 1,
exist.
Bloodborne.
Modern games like Last of Us or even GTA 5, I probably would have given
like
a 10.
6.
So I mean, it's fine to go on this tangent because I do see these things a bunch. Like, why don't you guys give 10? Like, those are comments I do see. For you're the one who started that conversation, and normally I'm like, oh, that's too much for one podcast. But I mean, right now Huber is the one who started this conversation. Brandon Jones, what's it going to take to get a 10 on GameTrailers.com?
Well, it's going to take someone to give it a 10 and for that person to absolutely stick to their guns and throw a fit.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have
even
no
if we don't think it's a 10.
you have to have no
Yeah.
reservations, right? Like,
Yeah.
there were times where I thought I was going to give Witcher 3 a 10, and then I was like, no, you're not getting this.
What's
Because
crazy if
there's
all the
stuff in there that
patches
I'm like,
now,
no, you
yeah.
just this
I
isn't-
would
this isn't
have,
gonna fly.
I would have loved to give GTA 5 a 10, but the villains in that game are just stupid. I didn't care. I didn't want to go after anyone in that game, and they were kind of setting it up. Michael gets in trouble very early on with this really like this creepy guy, and like you get in trouble with you kidnap his wife, and oh my god, and then nothing. I was like, okay, this game is so good, but there is something I don't like about it, and it would have to be me to be like, I am racking my brain. There is nothing wrong with Ocarina of Time. Nothing. That game has no flaw. I will take anyone in the
So that's
ring.
your 10.
Man,
That's your 10.
that is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
There's no question.
It's like Galaxy 1 and 2 for me. Like,
So,
couldn't
Blood,
do
Huber
one
shot out a
better.
bunch of 10s. Brandon gave us a 10. What is your 10?
Well, I'd say with Huber, I'd say probably the Galaxy games are the only ones from the times that I've been at Game Trailers are like. I probably couldn't point out like why those wouldn't be a 10.
It was
Wow.
so frustrating. I was watching them yesterday, and Mario Galaxy 1 has, because it's when we did the 4 categories, Mario Galaxy 1 has a 9.8, and on story, it's like a 7.5. and
Get it
marked
right.
the entire game
The
down.
story is so good
Yeah.
in Galaxy
Yeah.
at the same time. That's so
the old
frustrating.
SS. for
But
you.
I do not feel comfortable with that comment.
Have you seen their new rating system? It's asinine.
Let's not.
Because, no, Ian, people don't know what you mean by SS, which is.
Let's just
Okay, oh, God. Super soldier, we'll say. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Captain
sorry.
America reference.
I appreciate.
What I will say
Okay.
about Mario Galaxy real quick, and I told Huber this.
Yeah.
That year, that was the same year as GTA 4. That was the same year as Mass Effect. The same year as like BioShock.
Yeah.
A lot of incredible games. We went into that Game of the Year meeting. There was not a debate.
So jolly.
It was just Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Yeah.
awesome.
I can't believe that.
That's amazing.
So like even Miguel, he was like Super Mario Galaxy.
That was before Miguel.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Wait.
it was
who-
like me, Patrick, Ryan, Shane, Justin.
wow.
jolly.
Even Justin.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
Justin said Galaxy.
Love it.
Cool.
So good.
That is really interesting, Blood. I love that.
That's one other thing about reviews I wanted to say. That's not, an angry comment. Is like, it is all about taste. Like, and that's why I think it's a good thing that we pick people to do reviews. Because like, if I had reviewed GTA 5, it would have gotten like a 7. But like, Jones did it, and it
But
got
I
a
would have loved
9.8.
to.
Yeah.
I would love to
Jones
read that review.
is a fan of Jones is a fan of GTA. Like
Right.
people
He
that are
loves
watching
open
the
world
review and
games, and
maybe
I
buying
don't.
the game are
Right.
fans. Like yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it makes sense to have someone that is at least approaching like at least likes what they're getting into to review it, because otherwise, like, I loved the Talos Principle. I gave it a 9.8 because I was highballing it because I knew they would shoot it down to a 9.2 or whatever. So like,
Even 9.2 is pretty high.
that game is great, dude.
It's a good game.
Talos Principle is phenomenal.
Only one map.
Laser
That's not
puzzles.
true at
Yeah,
all.
true,
There's
true,
like
true,
four.
true.
The modes in that game.
Four
are-
giant maps.
It's just
Yeah.
like Battlefront. I'm sorry, that's 8 at best.
Here's my thing though, like for real.
Yeah.
Like, it also like different people have different allowances for things. Like if I were reviewing Skyrim or Fallout, it couldn't get above like a 7 or 8 because they're so glitchy. Same with The Witcher. Like when I played it, there were like game breaking things. I'm like, okay, you're a C, because your game doesn't work.
Abba Bappa.
Yeah.
Everyone, obviously, I appreciate when you give me things to talk about. We have to move on.
Really quick.
Okay,
we're
what?
talking about Galaxy.
Yeah.
Monday night.
No, don't you do this. That's not confirmed yet.
I'm confirming.
No, don't. Oh, my God.
All right. Fine. Tune in to Twitch Monday, maybe for a surprise.
Maybe first.
We have a lot of things to accomplish before maybe doing that thing that he was talking about. Anyway, thank you so much for giving us your suggestions. We do have to move on, but
Good hype building though. That's how you do it. That was that
That was a
you
tease.
You couldn't
Why
have built
couldn't
more
you
hype
just-
for Monday.
Okay.
Doing
Why
anything
couldn't you
other
just
than
play a
learning.
game
I'm
on
leveling
Monday?
up.
What's Monday?
Huber wants to do a stream, but we have to we have a 2-day week next
now,
week.
now you're spoiling it.
We do?
Now you're taking the hype away. Now
It's
you're.
gone.
No. Let me
stuck
at
in
least
the
say
hype
this:
app.
we have a 2-day week
Nope,
next
there it
week.
goes. There it
There
goes.
won't be a
Yep,
show
the
next
hype-
week.
the
I have to talk about that.
Hype is slipping up.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be gone on Wednesday
Try
probably.
jokes.
I gotta drive
We're
to
all gone on Wednesday.
Scottsdale.
We're all
Oh, okay.
gone.
The hype killer.
We should tell Omar they did not come in.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because Omar was gonna come in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think nobody's going to be in on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That is Thanksgiving in the United States, and we're all heading out.
Omar's gonna be sad.
Why not? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you can think of something for Omar to do, but it's going to be tricky.
Nah,
Omar.
because if he comes in when none of us are here, it's gonna be really
We can
confusing.
talk about this
Yeah.
later.
We'll
Uh,
figure this out later.
yeah, let's do bets. It's time for bets.
Wasn't there a second? You're the one who started this.
There was, but we
Yeah.
got to move on.
Gotta move on.
We got to get Huber hype. We got to shoot. So
Yeah.
I'm under the gun right now.
And man ups.
And man, oh, I forgot about that. I'm sorry, Ian. I'm using everyone's time right now. Let's talk about Bloodborne: The Old Hunters.
Ah!
By the way, this is the only game. This is not a game. Sorry, this is It's about Star Wars Battlefront. Here was the situation. On the PlayStation 4 version of the game, we're going to start a random match of Walker Assault on Hoth. Without using any modifications, we're going to start the match just pressing forward all the way on the left analog stick. How long will we last before dying? Let me go through everyone's bets. Ben in the Super Seat bet 15 seconds. Blood bet 6 minutes. Jones bet 30 seconds. I bet 4 minutes and 16 seconds. And we did the test right before recording. We're going to tack it on to the end of this video and podcast if you want to listen or hear it. We did the test. Brandon, you were operating it. Brandon, how many seconds did we last on Hoth?
29.
29 seconds?
There were 2 deciding factors in this bet. One was whether the match was going to have started yet or not. If the match had not started, it would have been a much higher time. But we jumped into a match. Again, it was totally random. And we chose the map specifically, which again changes things. Like I think if you choose a map, then you increase your chances of going into a match that's already in progress. And we spawned outside. The second I saw blue sky, I was like, I win. And we actually ran. I mean, you can see in the video later, but we actually ran directly at an objective.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
literally
Yeah,
were
yeah.
up against the terminal. So it's like
Yeah.
we had a giant bullseye on our head.
Oh man, but not enough of a bullseye to get Ben's bet in. You
Yeah.
hit that perfect sweet spot. Only 1 second off, and barely that even. So our current score is Super Seat 15, Bloodworth 15, Jones 7, Bossman 11. Brennan, what you've won is the right.
win some stuff.
Yeah, you've won the right and responsibility to tell everyone what your Twitter name is.
Okay. Game Trailers VO. Get that in there.
Oh, sure. Okay. You get the final word on anything you disagreed with that any of us brought up throughout the show. You get to sign off with your trademark sign off, and you get to promote any video you'd like on GameTrailers.com.
Bloodborne is not a 10. Yeah, we got some. Ian's at iHank. Oh wait, what's my other laundry?
No,
that
no,
I
no.
do?
You don't serve everyone else's Twitter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That wasn't
promote a
even
video.
right.
You promote a video you like.
It's not. Oh, it's just Ian Hank.
No, don't even say what it is. Oh, he snuck it in.
It's Hankel.
No. For now, yeah, you are the
I
only
wish.
person who gets his Twitter handle.
And I reviewed Star Wars Battlefront. Go check out my review. It's like there's not a lot of, because a lot of our stuff needs to get edited very quickly. I take more time. I take like double the time that these guys take because I'm stupid. Like they're very smart and they just get the review done and get it out. Whereas like I put a lot of love into that Battlefront review.
So you're saying Ian doesn't put love into any of his edits?
Ian doesn't have time. Ian's not paid to love the reviews.
No,
It depends on
That's
the
why.
game.
That's why
Ian's
the
truly.
The one and only time my favorite review, no offense, Ian Hank, was when I did Evil Within because I personally
Yeah, that was-
requested Brandon Jones to cut it.
That was a co-op. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Ian-
a double team.
Ian will make it as good as what you give him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that supposed to mean? You were.
It means Huber doesn't label his
There was some
footage.
subtext
Yeah,
to
but
that. There was absolutely some subtext to that.
But I take more time to produce, a more like loving thing, whereas like you give Ian any amount of time and he can still produce the video. Therefore, Ian is the better editor. Like there's no question.
Well, I mean,
he's a better.
speed is good in some situations, and
But I can't adapt. If
If
you,
I
if
have
you
the
told me to
time,
cut a
I'll
review in
take the
2
time.
hours, I'd jump out the window. I couldn't do it.
I think the fastest review I ever cut was the Pandaria, the Mists of Pandaria. I got it at 6:15 p.m. and we're supposed to be done by 7, and it was like an 8-minute review. It's like a long review. I cut it in 34 minutes.
Whoa.
Awesome.
That's a
Because
big game.
Patrick was like, "It's World of Warcraft. Just do whatever."
Just
I'm
show
like,
anything.
Deal.
Because if you're, if I review something and I'm cutting it, I'm so attached. I want to make sure I don't get that right shot, for this one specific thing. Whereas,
I'm
like, if you just,
I'm
like-
the same way.
Yeah. So yeah, Battlefront review. Go check it out.
I put love into my Stanley Parable review.
You did. No, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying you sometimes. Yikes.
I put love into everything.
I feel it. You can feel the love, right, Kyle?
I feel it.
And I feel the love from you, people. That's my thing. I feel the love. That's my sign. I love.
All right, Brandon, what's happening here?
It's going on. I think we're gonna. The thing is, if we pick the map specifically, I think we're going to go into a battle in play, which actually favors the
Let me see your controller. What are
smaller
you doing
scores. I'm playing on a controller. I'm going to hit right twice on the D-pad and then X, which will bring me to the game, and then forward on the left analog stick. And fingers crossed, we'll die in exactly 30 seconds.
here? Who's timing
go
this?
shut the door? I'm timing it, and Huber's a backup timer.
And what are we playing?
We are playing Walker Assault on Outpost Beta on Hoth.
Okay.
In Battlefront Star Wars. PS4. Okay.
Here we go.
Here it
Wait for
comes.
those. Join.
Chip beginning
Start.
now.
There we go. We're outside. I like it.
You're just holding left?
I'm
Holding left.
Going straight forward.
There he goes.
Not gonna make it over that.
Oh, he's coming up to enemies.
Why are you going forward if you're holding left?
No, it's holding forward.
I'm holding the left analog stick forward.
Oh no.
It is funny that I'm literally going directly.
Oh my god, right to the objective. Oh god.
Stop.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes. Oh no.
Oh, he's taking hits.
Hit me.
He's living.
Oh, I like it. Yes.
Oh!
That was pretty quick, actually. That's probably 15.
About 29.
29.